AB 32. And guess what happened? The California Attorney General said no. Filed a lawsuit. And they said you're not complying with AB 32. You're not complying with SB 375 mandates. That lawsuit is still pending, and they said no. We didn't pass AB 32 and 375 so that you guys can do business as usual and just do that loop and do that vicious cycle. I'm going to build this highway, I'm going to build this transit, and people are going to go here. No. Why the lawsuit? Actually, the first hearing, the judge was very, very favorable. I was in the hearing. It was filed in the court in Sacramento. I went to the hearing to see how it's going, and I was listening, and the judge was very, very favorable to the Attorney General attorneys. And so I agree with you. The legislature did not pass AB 32 so you can do business as usual. You have to come up with a sustainable community strategy. That's going to be the first case on whether AB 32 and SB 375 really makes any changes to the way that we do business. Remember, the on-learning part, if you're going from knowledge to wisdom. That's going to be the first test that we're going to see. And follow that, those of you who are interested in sustainability, which I assume you all are. There's another big effort that's happening in California following AB 32. We call it Complete Streets. The Complete Street was an initiative. I was part of their technical advisory group. I was working with Caltrans people on developing the Complete Streets. The Complete Streets, what is the first thing you get the impression when you're driving on our streets? That these are built to do what?
Drive.
To
drive.
Drive.
Like there is no space like there, like for a bike or for people that are walking.
Do you get the impression that these are corridors built to move people or move cars?
Move cars.
Move cars.
The entertaining part is the pedestrian, especially in Long Beach, will be walking along and then the sidewalk just disappears. It's like, okay, let's walk across this freeway on the
Yeah, and that goes back to, I see there are a lot of history part that I skipped because it's not like a transportation history development of transportation system talk. This is about sustainability. I wanted to get to this material. But in the 1950s, General Motors, they bought 110 transit companies across the United States. And what did they do with them? They shut them down. Some of them were making money. They just bought the transit companies and they shut them down. So people had to buy cars. So we had to build the streets that move cars. And who was the person who caught General Motors in that evil thing, if you call that evil? It's a private company, you make money, you just let ambition counter ambition, as Madison said. But who caught General Motors? You guys should know him. You guys are really who? Do you guys remember when Bush won the election over Gore? Yeah? You guys probably went to high school or junior high or maybe some elementary school. And who some people blamed for Gore losing? You remember that guy's name? Ralph
Nader.
Ralph Nader. Perfect. Someone is following the news and he earns his keychain fair and square. Ralph Nader caught General Motors on that, among other things. And General Motors won and they wanted to space carry and all that. That's another story. But as part of history of our evolution was not really all that honest anyways. There were a lot of hanky people. I'm not going to get into all of that. One of them was General Motors buying 110 transit companies in the 50s and early 60s and just shutting them down. The Complete Streets wants us to start thinking differently in the era of mobility and sustainability. And Mary is going to kill me. She sees I didn't clean up my slides. Why complete the streets? By providing streets that allow safe travel by any mode, many benefits results for communities, regions, and states, including, and you have the handouts and you can read these for yourself. The concept of this complete streets is that at least in the urbanized setting, let's refocus, let's rethink what the function of the street is. If you want to have sustainable development, that street is not to move cars, the street is to move people. So by people, you have to have allowances for bicycles, for pedestrians. By the way, you guys may know this street. It's sound familiar. You don't see that? Yeah, just see that building, that bike lane, that little narrow street. Anyone has been to Santa Barbara? State Street, my favorite place in Santa Barbara. Just go there, hang out, and have coffee or drink wine. Those of you who haven't been to Santa Barbara, if you go there, go see. We come up with different, and we went through, it took us like a couple of years. It took more than 2.5 years. We had a lot of discussions and all that. We came up with a complete street guidelines, and California is not using it, the cities are using it more effectively in places like San Diego. We came up with road diet, meaning that road, instead of having wide 4 lanes that a lot of cars can drive, you restrict some of the park with wide turn pockets. Compact communities. This is really, this you may know where this is. This is downtown Huntington Beach, right? Main Street where it comes to BCH. This have a compact community. People live and shop and dine and work, and you have a very compact community. Not 50, 60 miles commutes anymore. Bikeways. Bikeways. What percentage of all bike travel in Los Angeles County is done on bicycle? Anyone who can guess this, on buying lunch or her lunch. What percentage of all bicycle travel, what percentage of all travel in Los Angeles County is done using bicycles? 0.6%. Why? You have great weather. A lot of people live and work within reasonable commute distances that we can perfectly do on bicycles. So why 0.6% less than 1%? Why? It's not safe. Who wants to get on a bike on a 6-lane arterial when the guy next to you is going at 50 miles an hour? So what was to advise, bless you, and the urban transit, do a better job in urban transit. LA has Measure R now, which is $40 billion over the next 30 years to be spent on doing 80% of that is going to go for transit. And rural highways also make it safer for pedestrians, for bicycles and all that. These were some of the strategies that we come up with. We realized that if you want to have a sustainable street system, you have to address safety, you have to address accessibility, mobility, land use, and community needs. And you have to make them share the road, make it safe for bicyclists, make it accessible so people with handicap, they can get easy to transit and use transit and all that. And mobility, don't put a huge traffic signal at every location. This is my favorite roundabout in Santa Barbara. It's between Santa Barbara and Montecito. Gorgeous roundabout there. Just make it like a little bit safer for people to move around. And land use. How many of you been to Gaslamp District in San Diego? What do you think about it?
I thought it was really pretty.
It's really nice, isn't it? I remember the first time I went to San Diego, 1984 or something. Downtown San Diego was a crowded place. Nobody wanted to be there. Very much similar to what downtown LA is now. I came to the United States in 1977, and in Washington, D.C., across, how many of you have been to D.C.? Do you know there's a park right across the White House, the Lafayette Park? In the Lafayette Park, there were prostitutes and they were selling drugs. On the 14th Street, even daytime, nobody wanted to be there. People would just come to D.C. to work, they would go to Virginia and they would go to Maryland. I used to live in Virginia, in Fairfax. Now you go to downtown D.C., 70% of that town at night is like this. There are restaurants, people live in D.C., people work in D.C., and you have to make these huge changes, huge investments. LA has started doing it, but San Diego is a good example. In 20, 25 years, they cleaned up the city. Now people in Gaslamp District, there's residential, there's office, people live there, they work there, they dine there, people want to go there, it's a safe, relatively safe area and all that. So we realized that as part of the sustainability, we have to do that. But the challenge is always from policy to the pavement. Again, remember all the things that I talked about, that I briefly talked about, the federalism, public-private, and equity. If you don't understand these three things, we cannot affect any public policy in the United States. You have to be careful about the limitations of the federal government, how it interacts, what's done at the federal level, what's done at the state and local level. What's the interaction between public and private dynamics, and what are the issues of equity? You guys, you are programmed without you knowing. And this is maybe good, this is maybe bad. I'm just saying that we are like this. The minute in this country you say, You have to pay $1.